Welcome to another ranking video for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. And right now we're going to rank the Leatherface portrayal, as in the actors who played Leatherface in each film. Not the stuntmen who played them sometimes in those films, but just the actors, the guys who primarily played Leatherface in all those films, I should say. As in not the stuntmen who are also behind the mask sometimes in certain shots, but just their primary actors in each film. So as you can see, the chart is Chainsaw Gold being the top. Then you have Pretty Damn Awesome. You have Good, Decent, Meh, Not Into It, and Garbage being the lowest tier. And as you can see, we have our list of actors, which is Gunnar Hansen, Bill Johnson, Andrew Bernarski, R.A. Millihoff, and I never know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. There's Dan Yeager, Mark Burnham, Robert Jacks, Sam McKenzie, Sam Strike, and Boris Kabakchev, and I'll never pronounce that kid's name right. Apologies for that. So we're going to rank them from Chainsaw Gold to Garbage, and then at the end of the video we'll rack them up. I think we'll go through these from film to film, so from the first film through the 9th film, just to go in order. Number 1, for the first film we have Gunnar Hansen, who played the character first. He's definitely going into the Chainsaw Gold option. He kind of made that performance and nailed up that door behind him forever. There's never going to be anybody else who can top that performance. People can come close and people can make their alterations and all that stuff, but you're never going to be able to top Gunnar Hansen entirely. It's just not going to happen. I think when we get to part 2, the 1986 sequel, Bill Johnson did a fantastic job in the role. It really does feel like Gunnar Hansen in the costume again as far as the performance goes. Not exact. Like I said, you're never going to top that performance or match it entirely. But you can really feel the DNA in that lineage there. It feels organic and it feels like the same version of Leatherface. Unlike any other sequel, Chainsaw 2 1986 is really the only legitimate sequel where Leatherface feels like the same Leatherface from the first film. So with that said, Bill Johnson's going in Chainsaw Gold. There's nowhere else he would go. When we get to the third film, R.A. Millihoff did a pretty damn awesome job in the character. If you watched the mask ranking video, you notice I put the mask farther down the list than Pretty Damn Awesome. But as far as like body language goes, actual performance, within the skin of Leatherface, no pun intended, he did a really good job. Big, imposing, scary, performed well in the part. Part 4, you get to Robert Jacks, who played a very weird, cross-dressing, abstract, acid trip version of the character. Never been a fan of that version of the character, never been a fan of the movie itself. I've been on record saying this many times. So with that said, as much as a cool person Robert Jacks seemed like in real life, and rest in peace to the man, I know he passed away in 2001, I just think he was meh in the role at best. I'm not going to say I wasn't into it or he was garbage, because I think he did what Kim Hinkle wanted. I just was not a fan of his portrayal or that version of Leatherface. So unfortunately, he's going to go in meh for me. Meh. Next up, we have the 2003 reboot. And also the 2006 prequel, because the same guy played Leatherface in both films. The only guy to ever played the character twice, Andrew Bernarski, again from the 2003 and 2006 films. He's definitely going into Chainsaw Gold. I think he's again, he's not the scariest. That's Gunnar Hansen for sure. But he's scarier in a different way. He's bigger. His movements are more punctual, to the point. He moves with the ferocity of a linebacker. It's hard to explain. I know he comes from bodybuilding, so there's just a bigger, bulkier, bullyish presence to Leatherface in the reboot and the prequel, which is scarier in a different way. Whereas the first film, he was physically imposing, but he was more of a cerebral terror than physical. Where Bernowski is absolutely physical. Like I feel like if he gets going, he's gonna go through you no matter what. So with that said, Chainsaw Gold. Next up, you have Dan Yeager, who was really trying to channel Gunnar Hansen's performance in Texas Chainsaw 3D, because it was supposed to be a direct sequel to the original film. I think he did a really good job of doing that. So with that said, I'm going to put him in Pretty Damn Awesome. I think I liked his performance better than R.A. Millihoff's, actually. I'm not a fan of the masks in that movie, or really his overall costume, but he did a pretty good job within the skin of Leatherface. Next up, we have the 2017 prequel, which was Sam Strike, who played the character. His character in the film, before he became Leatherface at the end of the film, it was cool, but since we're not ranking that, we're ranking Leatherface. I'm going to say it was meh. I wasn't not into it. I just thought it was a little bit over the top. Too quick of a change. Not garbage, not into it. Just a little bit off kilter as far as Leatherface is concerned. Not terrible, not great. I think Robert Jacks probably did better. But again, he was such a non-version of Leatherface anyway, with just the dog muzzle or the muzzle thing on his face, and it's hard to even rank him here. But if he was ranked, it would be in meh. If I was ranking the kid from the film, it would be in the meh also, because he really didn't do anything. He had no lines really at all, hardly at all. He wore a stupid cow head as a mask for part of it, and we didn't see much of him at all. He would be in the meh category if I was ranking him, but since he's not really Leatherface and never really becomes Leatherface as a child, I'm taking him back out. We're not ranking him at all. And going back to 3D one more time, we have Sam McKenzie, who played the pretty lady version of Leatherface in a flashback sequence. And I'll put him in meh. We didn't really see much at all, but I'll put him after these two. The mask looked weird. We didn't really see much of a performance, but it is what it is. Not terrible, not garbage. We didn't really see enough to make an assumption or to make an assertion about that, but yeah. And last but not least, we have Mark Burnham, who played Leatherface in the 2022 film. And he, just like Dan Yeager, was channeling Gunnar Hansen's performance. Did a pretty good job. Wasn't a big fan of the mask or the costume or the film, really at all, but he did a good job in the mannerisms and the physicality and all that stuff. So I'm going to put him in pretty damn awesome right after R.A. Milahoff. Put him right there. So there you have it. The actual, how they actually stack up and my least favorite to favorite are probably going to differ a little bit from this actual chart, but that's okay. They're never going to really be exactly to this chart. So yeah, let's stack them up. At number 10, if we were ranking him, but we're not. But if we were ranking him, it would be Boris Kabukchi, which is the kid with the cow head. He would be number 10 for sure. Number 9 would be Sam Strike, who played Leatherface in the 2017 film. Number 8 would be Sam McKenzie, who played the pretty woman version of Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw 3D. And the reason he's number 8 and not number 9 is because Sam Strike really wasn't ever Leatherface. At least Sam McKenzie, even for a brief second, was actually Leatherface, which is why he ranks above him. Number 7 would be Robert Jacks from The Next Generation. Not the worst, but definitely not the best. Really middle of the road. Number 6 would be Mark Burnham, who played Leatherface in 2022. Good job. Not the best, not the worst. Again, this is where the list gets really good, because all these, the top 6 actors are all good in the role. So Mark Burnham at number 6. Number 5 would be Dan Yeager, for sure, from 3D. Number 4 would be R.A. Milahoff from Part 3. Number 3 would be Andrew Bernarski from the reboot in the beginning. Number 2 would be Bill Johnson from Part 2. And number 1 would, of course, be Gunnar Hansen. There's my ranking, the official TobattoVision ranking of the portrayals of Leatherface. Not the masks, not the costume, but the portrayals. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.